Welcome to In the Mix, a DJ series. I'm your host, DJ RunDat. I'm on a mission to inspire and support you in reaching your goals in life and business. Do you want to know the secrets to growing a profitable DJ business? Tune in to hear real-life stories from DJs across the globe who have grown successful DJ businesses. Welcome to In the Mix, a DJ series. I'm your host, DJ RunDat. Today I have Chuck the DJ. Welcome.
Howdy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, and I am really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Yay, awesome. Me too. I know we share some roots of Sonoma County, music and DJing, and you have been at it for a very long time. So how long have you been DJing?
Wow, I love when people ask me this question. I went full-time as a DJ in 1985. But my very first DJ gig, and this is really going to age me, was back in 1969. So between 1969 and 1985, it was always there. There was always, mainly school dances, youth teen parties, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I was always in the background, and even with my other jobs, I'd always try to get, Fridays or Saturdays off for the gig. But in 1985, I said, stop this noise. Let's just go full time. And that's what I did. So
amazing. Was that one of the best decisions of your life?
Yeah, it really was, because it's been a passion, and most DJs, we have a love of music, and we may not get to go to events and play exactly what we want to hear, but it was a good choice. Financially, it's been great throughout the years. Obviously, the last year and a half, it's been a little tough, but it's just a joy. I'm a very outgoing kind of individual, so the choice of getting out of the grocery store, getting out of the gas station, whatever, to do this full time was, yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, when you love what you do, it's not really work. So I see myself doing it for a lifetime. There's no plan to stop ever. I'm always just like, don't stop the music. This last year, don't stop the music. If you don't feel like DJing, just don't stop the music. We need it.
Well, and that's the last year or so, that's the whole thing about the streaming aspect of DJs on Twitch or Mixcloud. I think a lot of us started doing that to get our yayas out, because all of a sudden we had no outlet, because it went from like, here's your gigs, to like bang, to nothing. And when the streaming thing started coming out, it's like, well, yeah, at least here I am. I can get out there, and you don't have people on the dance floor, but hopefully you have people in your chat, in your room, and you're still playing your music, and it was still good for our souls and our hearts. And then the financial aspect kicked in, so that's helped out too. But yeah, without the streaming thing this last year, I don't know what a lot of us DJs would have done, because we just would have been like out and lost in the universe somewhere.
Yeah, sure. Or I feel like for us in Northern California, we probably would have seen a little more renegade parties at the beaches and things, which I am starting to see here in Humboldt County. But yeah, I love that with the streaming, we were able to reach people globally, collaborate globally with different DJs. We did the Mobile Beat House Party live streamed. That was, I think, my first live stream collaboration. And yeah, it was frightening, but I always just say, just have fun. Just have fun.
Yeah, it's got to be fun. I've met some wonderful cats. A guy I've got become really close with. His name's Mark, and he's over in Ireland, Irish House Ninja. And without that, again, without the streaming and without the international aspect of it, yeah, that all would have been lost. All these great DJs that we see now, that back in the day, you might be able to get to go to an event, maybe after your event, you could sneak into a club or sneak in maybe to another event to see another DJ or hang out. But now it's like 24/7, and sometimes I'm like, you're on again. Some of these guys just stream so much, so it's great. I really enjoyed that. I'm glad that aspect came into our life.
Right. It's like club hopping online virtually from DJ to DJ, and then all the different communities, and it's so much fun for anyone that has not joined Twitch or just tuned into a DJ, do it. It is a lot of fun. For
Well, and even for me, it's like because I have so many friends that are on Twitch and Mixcloud now. I mean, I'll open up 3 or 4 browsers on my computer, and I'll just I'll go, oh, here's Mark for a while, and then here's DJ Blast for a while, here's DJ Ryan for a while, and here's DJ Twin Spin, and all these different you just kind of, and you go back to this guy, and yeah, and then all of a sudden it's 5 in the morning.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know one of our reggae friends, reggae DJs the other night, I guess he went for 13 hours, and I'm not sure if he's trying to break a record or what the goal was of it, but that's impressive. I mean, I think the longest I've maybe DJ'd that long. I did do like 34 hours in 3 days. That was at a tattoo convention in person, but I almost feel like it's hard to do live streaming because there's a lot of things you have to keep your eyes on, and then there's a lot of interacting with the crowd, and the chat, and then technologically things can go extra weird more so than live like in person. So I think it's almost more challenging. Do you think it's more challenging to live stream?
I think it's different. You don't have necessarily, you're not worried so much about keeping people on the dance floor, but all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're watching that room count, and hey, I got 50 people in my room, or 20 people, and then wait a minute, how come I only have 10 now? And I'm a mouthy guy, and I talk a lot, and because I'm of the mind that if people just want to hear some music, well, they'll just turn on Spotify, or Apple Music or something. So with me, I'm trying to like interact with the chat, and so if somebody says something in the chat where normally at a gig I wouldn't talk over the lyrics. I would never talk over the lyrics at a gig. You'd wait for that break or whatever. But if we're interacting with the chat, and it's in the middle of a song, like, oh yeah, hey, you're talking, and so there is a lot more going on, and it's harder and easier in some ways. I'm not so much worried about playing the next banger to get more people on the dance floor, but in the same token, I am, and my attitude has changed a little bit. When I first started streaming, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm doing it for me, I'm doing it for my soul, and so I was playing more what I would call maybe Chuck personal preference music, as opposed to, I didn't care if what the crowd wanted, kind of thing, because we all have those groups or styles that we love to hear. And at a normal gig, like you probably can, I'm a huge George Thorogood and Jimmy Buffett fan, but can I play that at a typical wedding? Chances are not a whole lot. So I was dropping more of that stuff in my stream at the beginning, but now when you're trying to build an audience, well, yeah, your 80s is huge, freestyle is huge, some of the 90s boy band stuff, huge, when you're streaming. I do a lot of mashups. I love that stuff, but so it's different. It's just a different animal. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just different. I think I've always been a little more intimidated by technology, but I've been getting a lot more confident with it because of streaming. And it's funny that you mentioned George Thorogood, because I saw him in Petaluma. You and I were talking online recently about the Phoenix Theater, and I saw him play there. And I was like one of the only young people, but I just love so much music. And, we had these opportunities to see all kinds of music growing up at these all age venues. So I'm wondering if you were there.
I wasn't, but I saw George at the LBC, Luther Burbank Center.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 3-4 years ago, maybe not 5, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing I like about George and Jimmy, or the two guys I mentioned, is not some, I mean, I obviously enjoy their music, but live, they interact with the crowd, and they make it so personal, and they drop local references. And from an entertainer aspect, that's something that you can learn about, because you're not just up there, hey, put your hands in the air. You're like, hey, talking about that bar down the street, and that's what I like about George and Jimmy, is that they really draw the crowd in. So, not only from a musical standpoint, I just enjoy the music, but they draw you in as an audience. And that's in our world, whether even if you're at a wedding, or like say school dances used to be my main thing, you draw on the crowd in. That's performance, and that's a big part of my enjoyment of watching or listening to other music.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing that we're getting to see with the Twitch too, is the different personalities really shining through with each DJ. And not only do we get to hear their DJing style, but get to know their personality. And I truly feel like personality is what sells, and is why I've had a lot of success, is because people want to be around that energy. And when you're the entertainment, you don't want to come in and just be like, "Hi, I'm the DJ." You're gonna be like, "Hey, I'm the DJ. What's up, guys?" Like it's energy.
There are some great DJs out there that I've seen, and I mean, I joke that I'm not that great, and I'm not that great a mixer. I'm okay. I am really okay. But I mean, I see these guys that are just like, and and stuff's flip flopping and flying. But as far as the personality or the showmanship or the entertainer aspect goes, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, and I'm like, oh, talk to me, or even the guys that they're doing, and then the chat will be going on, and it's like, dude, pay attention a little bit to the chat, because these are the people, that's the difference between being at a gig with a dance floor and being there, is I feel like you have to interact with the chat. So
Mhm.
back when I was, like, say, doing school dances and stuff, I mean, that was a huge deal for me, to interact with the kids and hype the kids and get that kind of stuff going on. That kind of carries over, I think, with the streaming deal.
Yeah, I also think it's a great way for people who maybe have been a little more mic shy to practice.
Yeah. Although,
Yeah.
I mean, I will admit, I mean, there are times where I'll finish my show and I'm like, gosh, I hope there wasn't a potential bride watching me, because, you know, because sometimes, you kind of get in the zone, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the most professional thing in the world, that I
Right.
have this one persona I call DJ Head. And when DJ Head comes out, he's playing really weird music and he's mouthing off. And yeah, the last thing I need to have is my bride from Saturday tuning into the DJ Head show. Like, look out, that's
Uh-huh.
they're
Totally.
gonna hire
So
somebody else.
does he wear a wig?
No, actually, what I do is I wear a green shirt, and so and I wear a cap, but all you see on the screen is my head.
Oh my God, so
And DJ Head bops around a lot, and he flies around, he does a lot of this kind of stuff, and it's just the head.
uh-huh.
And every once in a while, he'll be there, and I have to warn most of my guys, DJ Head's going to be on tonight.
Okay. Yeah.
So and so usually there's a DJ Head show, but occasionally during my normal Chuck show, sometimes I'll be like, you know what, I'm just in a mood, and I'll go off screen. I'll put my shirt on. I'll put my beanie on, my other guy, and I'll come back out and be DJ Head, and everybody like, and they run and hide. But
You know, you had me confused because I did tune into one of your live streams once and I'm going, this doesn't look like the right guy. And I was really confused there. So now I think we've solved that mystery.
yeah, yeah. Some people love DJ Head, and some people run and hide, and slam the door, shut the computer off, and tell all the kids to go to bed. Yeah, it's weird. So
Well, DJing is an art form and we all get to embrace our own uniqueness. And business is like also a lot of experimenting, and DJing is a lot of experimenting. And so that's really cool that you feel comfortable to even have a persona like
well, I've been DJing, like I say, for a long time, and I've been in the biz a long time, and I I'm one of those guys, and it was actually one of the advantages I had when I moved to Maui. When my wife and I moved to Maui, there was a lot of great DJs on Maui, but there were very few entertainers. And I found a really quick niche on the corporate world on Maui, with the agents. And because I could be that DJ that could get up there and I could host their awards, or I could host a karaoke show, or I could be that wild and wacky DJ guy if they needed that, as opposed to just the great DJ that played great music and made basic announcements. So that's always been kind of a niche of mine, and I've enjoyed that ride. I've enjoyed that aspect of the world. So
yeah, super cool. That's fun. Yeah, I definitely like have visions of me exploring different genres, different styles. I haven't gotten too wacky yet. I mean, not that wacky's bad, but like I haven't gotten too far creative, I'd say. But I definitely, there's things I think about because there's just endless possibilities with it. I love that how you mentioned, like, you know, your brides and Twitch, because I had a couple and they wanted to hear some of my mixes, and the only mixes I really had were live streaming, which is a whole nother experience than a wedding, and festivals, and which is not wedding, but like they actually
Yeah.
wanted a silent disco at their wedding, and they did want kind of that festival vibe, that fun energy. They didn't want your traditional wedding DJ, and they were very specific on wanting to like vibe with the DJ and have a certain energy. And they ended up booking me. And I at first, you know, when I sent them that mix from the Twitch stream, I'm like, okay, just so you know, this is like totally different than a wedding, but like here's part of me.
Yeah, it is hard, and you know, that was, you know, I've been fortunate, and I'm sorry I keep referencing Maui, but that was such a huge part of my life. But when Maui was a big, huge training or turning point in my career, because prior to that, the first 17 or 18 years of my DJ business, I was a school dance DJ. That was what I did when I presented at Mobile Beat or DJ Times. It was all school dance stuff. That was Chuck the deal. And when I moved to Maui, all that went away because the schools didn't have the money to pay for me. So I got into the corporate wedding world, and destination weddings, that you're talking about, you know, being in a different zone. I mean, all of a sudden I was doing weddings for people from, Italy and France, and then, and then Texas, and then, Germany. And then, so all that music stuff that you're saying, having to step out of your box, that was just kind of thrown at me. And I had to. I have a whole folder of international music that I actually about a month or a month and a half ago on my streaming shows. It was all international, because I have all this stuff. And I'm like, God, I never get to play it. So let's just do a night of international music. I had no idea what they were singing about, but you know,
Yeah.
I was, so it really opens up when you can stretch outside your box. I think that's a really neat aspect of life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, talk to me a little bit more about becoming a speaker at the DJ conventions, because I'm kind of at that point in my career in this last year and a half, and I haven't even gotten to attend one yet in
Oh,
person. So I just cannot wait. I just can't. I actually have a call booked with one of the producers that's putting on the show in Vegas in February. I have a call tomorrow. So I'm, putting in the work to plan to be on stage at some point again, but talk to me about how did that happen for you? How did you even learn about DJ conventions?
well, I mean, I was very fortunate, and again, I mean, the very first Mobile Beat DJ convention I was at, and I was doing school dance panels, and at DJ Times way back in the day, I was asked to be on a school dance panel, because right when uh, the world hit with, I mean, AOL, and we had, the DJ chat on Sunday night, and that kind of opened the world up to all DJs kind of connecting and stuff. And I was on a school dance panel with, I don't, Casey Korwitz. He ran a school dance panel on and at DJ Times in Atlantic City, and I was on that panel. And then for the next 2 or 3 years, I presented that panel, which led to presenting panels at Mobile Beat for a few years on school dances. Back then, I think there was a lot more guys willing to share information, and they weren't doing it to sell a book or a series or any of that kind of stuff. It was purely for just, I want to get up there, I want to share what I know. Presenters weren't getting paid. They weren't, getting comped rooms. It was just, for the joy of sharing what you knew, and to be up there in front of, 5, 6, 7, 800 DJs. First of all, as a presenter, this still holds true, is that you can't BS those cats. When you're talking to people outside of the industry, they don't really get it. But when you're up there full of a room of DJs, your peers, they know what they're talking about. And so they know if you're trying to maybe, push the envelope a little bit. No, you got to be upfront, you got to be honest, and you got to be truthful with what you're presenting. That's the big thing. And, and now if you're presenting now, having something unique, it's gotten really harder, I think, now, because back then, entering the DJ world and sharing stuff at conventions. I mean, oh, how to do a wedding. That was a big deal because nobody was out there doing how to do a wedding, and this is even before Randy Bartlett and, the 1% solution stuff. But now it's harder because there have been a lot of conventions and there's a lot of, videos on YouTube, and there's a lot of information. There's a lot of ways to see how to run a wedding. So, going to a convention with a, 101, how to run a wedding seminar is like, it's not quite as a big deal, because a lot of guys already know that, or they can find that. So presenting now, you've got to have a really unique idea and a really unique something to present and to share with individuals. So I don't know exactly what you're planning on presenting or what you're going to present, but there's got to be a unique aspect to it, something special. And you've got to be willing to share that. And hopefully the people that are watching that show will take what you're sharing and not do Michelle, but do their version of that. Take what you're showing, and then they're going to twist it around to make it them. That's the biggie, and that's what I've learned from conventions too. And I love conventions. If for no other reason, you're in an area where you're surrounded by people who do what you do, and they get what you do, and they understand what you do. And don't be shy if you've never been to a convention. Don't be shy to butt into conversations, because for me, boy, I can just go on and on. For me, it's like, I never took my wife because I wanted to be in the zone with the DJs, and I wasn't there as a vacation. I was there for the convention, and I didn't want to go with a bunch of other local DJs because I knew that if I did that, I would hang out with my buddies, my local DJ buddies, which is cool, but it would keep me away from meeting new people. And I made some great connections at conventions that to this day I use. If I have a question about, an old song or a country song or a song, from people up in Canada or whatever, I can call these different DJ buds that I know and say, hey, that I met at conventions, and we can talk. Great networking. It's just wonderful. Yeah, they're egos, and you kind of know that going into it, but I love conventions, and if anybody hasn't been, they really need to go to one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was a tirade. Sure. Boy, I ran off on that one. Boy.
Well, it was helpful because I have been thinking about the topic moving forward, because my topic last year was basically how to go from a hobby to a business, telling my story. And, I'm very, very new to all of this. I mean, this kind of fell into my lap.
Right.
They reached out to me, which was kind of cool. And I hadn't even thought about it. I didn't even know about them until I was interviewing my first few female DJs 3 years ago. And they say, oh, I write for Mobile Beat magazine. Oh, I DJ on Carnival Cruise. And I'm like, I didn't even know about any of that. I never thought I could DJ on a boat and go out for just 2 weeks and be contracted for 2 weeks. Or I never knew there was a DJ magazine online. Like, I literally joke, I was living in a reggae bubble in Northern California, just doing my thing in my little community. And then I popped out of it. I wrote a book and I just popped out of it. And I was like, this big world of DJs.
Well, and that's a great story to share, because what you find, I think, at conventions is there's almost like two groups of DJs. The ones are the beginner DJs or the starter up DJs, or the DJs who are great DJs, but they really need somebody to take them to go, this is how you do it, A, B, C, D. And they go, oh, okay, and then there's other DJs that go, okay, well, you can take that, but they have the imagination, whatever, to take things and run with it. So there's two kinds, and you see them, they don't do it anymore, but back in the day when we were doing seminars, we'd always do like a 2-hour seminar, and you'd have like an hour and a half maybe of the actual seminar, or an hour and 15 minutes, and then you'd have a question and answer period. And that was always good and bad, but you could tell the guys that really needed to have the hand holding kind of thing. It's like some guys just don't get it, and they don't have they're great DJs and they're great maybe personalities, but for some reason they can't take an idea and run with it. So, you know, it's like, tell me how to do it, and really like ABCD it, you know. And then you have the other guys that say that can take it. Oh, well, yeah, we could do that. And on top of that, you can take it and go here. So, you know, that's one of the things I really enjoyed back in the day about the question and answer thing. Now I think they limit you to like an hour show or an hour seminar, or maybe 45 minutes, and you really got to hit them with wham, 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 wham.
Yeah.
And you don't really get a chance to talk to the people, and that's what I think is something that's a little lacking, a little missing. But you know, that's just me. So I hope Robbie's paying attention. Robbie, bring back question and answers. So
I'll tell him tomorrow when I talk to him.
yeah, tell him to bring back question and answers. So
yeah, so my business coach says all the time, she goes, information does not equal transformation. And so we can give you all the information you want, but one reason why I have a business coach and I will always have a coach is because I need that extra push. I need that extra accountability. I need that cheerleader, that support, that community. And I'm every day so grateful for all of my different communities that support me in business and life. Like it is just, it's what life is all about. So that's like, you know, if I hit that stage, well, for one, I'm going to know a lot more people because I've been interviewing for years now, and that's going to feel a lot more comfortable up there. But for two, I want to inspire. Like I want to inspire by my story. It's kind of like that. Well, if I can do it, you can do it. Like I'm a little mama in a tiny town with big dreams. Like,
you know, and that's great, because that was one of the things that when I went to the conventions, that I kind of felt like I had that unique aspect of my life, because when I was going to conventions, and it's so, you know, there's a lot of guys that are, you know, they're striving to be multiple op DJs. You know, they want to get to that place where they can have 10 or 15 guys DJing. But I've always been a single system, full-time mobile DJ. And that's all I've ever wanted to be. I never aspired to like, oh, I want to have a bunch of guys working for me. And at the conventions, and that was one of the things that I always tried to push, that, look, you can do this. You know, you can be a single system, you know, full-time, no other job DJ. You can, and because I can do it, and I'm an idiot. I mean, I'm a terrible businessman. But you know, I've managed to survive, and I can do it. And so somebody who's even a better businessman, or I'm sorry, a better business person, you know, can take that, and you can do it. You can, and let's say, you know, I mean, I was in Petaluma. You know, how big was Petaluma? You know, it's not a huge area. I was lucky that I ran into a couple agents. I love agents. I don't book hardly any of my own events. I have agents book most of my stuff, and that's because I'm lazy. I'd rather be on the golf course. But you know, but you can do it as a single system DJ, and that's a big thing. And like you're saying, little person, little town, yeah, you can do it.
yeah. Totally. And Petaluma, I graduated Petaluma High. That's my other town. So I love that.
I did too. I graduated, and my wife did too. So.
Yeah. Yep. I have yet to play in Petaluma though. So that's on the list.
You know, when I was doing mainly school dances, whenever I had a chance to play Petaluma High or Petaluma Junior High, there's two schools, you know, I jumped at it, and I would, you know, when they would call me about an event, I would give them just such a stupid deal that they basically couldn't say no, you know. And when I started doing weddings later on, I was the same way. It's like, oh, you know, Petaluma Golf and Country Club, yeah, all right, yay, you know, or the, you know, the Vets Hall, yay, ooh, you know, because it does.
Okay, wait, no, I've done one.
Yeah.
Wait, Amana reminded me, I did do a friend's wedding in a hall on the west side. So it was some sort of Vets Hall type thing. Or yeah, okay. So no, I have played Petaluma. I was gonna do our high school reunion, our 20th, but I had something else going on. But so yeah, I love it. The school circuit is really a great place to start, I feel like, because kids are like, they're pretty easygoing. I mean, they can sometimes be a tough crowd. Like I started with really young kids, like elementary, all age family community dance parties. So I could bring my kids to work with me because they wanted to come. So that's kind of what really got me going into like separating from just following my husband around DJing with him, who he was my teacher. But I'm very curious about these agents, because a lot of DJs have talked about agents, and I really don't know anything about having an agent. So booking agents, are they entertainment companies? Are they like, tell me a little bit more about this.
Well, they're kind of falling into different categories, but I never wanted them before because I wanted more control. I wanted to be able to talk to the bride and groom, or I wanted to talk to the school on my own. But when I started falling in, here we go again. When I was on Maui, the only way you could get into the hotels at that time was you pretty much had to go through one of the two entertainment companies on Maui. And I found that I got to enjoy that because, you know, they had all the connections. And so it made it much, much easier. And then when I moved back here to Sonoma County, you know, I had a lot of other DJs that were booking me, and I would basically as a subcontractor as for a lot of DJ companies. And then there is a entertainment agency over by Napa called Wine Country Entertainment that I ran into with, and they started booking me, and so they are my main agent. And I do have a couple of DJ companies that also book me as as one of their DJs. And I sometimes I lump them into, when I say agents, I kind of lump them into that category. But they really aren't agents; they're just other DJs that I sub out to, which is a whole nother discussion we won't go into. But the Envisions, excuse me, the Wine Country Entertainment, that is a entertainment company, and they book DJs, and they book bands, and they book jugglers and dancers and the whole nine yards. I like agents. I don't mind having an agent take a cut out of the money. Agencies will work different ways. The way this particular agency works is they ask you, how much money do you want? And then they will charge on top of that. So, I don't feel like, my very first agent that used to got me into schools, California Talent, they would book a gig for, $1,000, and they would take 20%. So I would get 800. Whereas, now I can say, well, yeah, I want $1,500 or I want $2,000. They'll say, cool, okay. And then they'll just charge whatever they want to charge on top of that. I've ran into a couple agents that I would tell them, yeah, I want $1,500. And they go, okay, great. Well, they would charge $3,000 for me. On one hand, that would bug the crap out of me because I'm like, look, I'm the guy out there doing all, and you're making the same amount of money as I am. But the flip side of that was they were keeping me busy all the time. And that's what I wanted. And, and so it worked out, and not everybody agrees with me on that aspect of things. So finding the right agent is tough. I've had a couple agencies that were band oriented that tried to get into the DJ thing, and they just didn't work well with DJs. And so you really got to be careful. But for me, again, I like being on the golf course. I like being with my wife. So for me not to have to be out there trying to chase down a new venue or a new bride or a new contact or do a bridal fair or, do planning, because my main agent, that she does all that. I have a conversation once she books me with the bride. I have a conversation with the bride and groom to make sure we're a good fit. But after that, all the, hey, let's do the timeline, let's do all this kind of stuff. They handle all that. And you have a couple of conversations with the bride and groom on the email, so you're not completely out of the loop. But I mean, you're not spending, what's the average amount of time that you spend with the bride and groom on your own doing the wedding? 20 hours on the phone, work at least. I lose all that. I'm on the golf course. I'm hanging with the wife. So for me, that's worth the money that I pay the agent.
Yeah, you make it sound really nice. Like, I'm like, are they hiring like Wine Country? I'm like, I'm not, I'll travel. I've gotten, I have one wedding this year in Sebastopol at Sova Gardens. And I'm trying to coordinate a time to go with, it's my friend, go there and check out the venue, because it sounds logistically a little challenging, a little bit. But confident I got this. But yeah, I'm excited to do more in Sonoma County. I've got an officiating gig at the Secret Gardens in Bodega Bay, but and I've done 2 weddings there, and it's gotten postponed again. So yeah, it's exciting because I like have family all over Northern California and friends. So it's fun when I get to like mix the play and work.
Yeah, I Secret Garden, talk about another kind of that's a tough load in. That's a tough gig to do. But it's a neat venue. I really like that venue. I've never played Sova. I lived in Sebastopol for a while, about a mile away from there. And gosh, how come I can't get a wedding there? But yeah, it's just most of my weddings now that I'm doing are over in the Napa area. The wineries, Silverado, well, it used to be Meadowwood, but not anymore. kind of that in that area. So I don't do a whole lot in Sonoma County anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as you know, now that we're opening back up and things are starting to kick back in, maybe that'll change. We'll start getting more a little closer to home gigs.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that next. Like, what I don't even know at the moment what zone, what it's like right now down there. I'm going down there tomorrow, but
We're opening up. I think we're what was it called, the orange zone or whatever, I think they were
yeah.
saying June 15th we were going to be open up. I actually have a wedding Saturday down in Marin. But if they don't cancel, cross
Uh-huh.
your fingers. My June, July, August is solid. I mean, I'm good. I pretty much average, I don't know, I want to say 5 gigs a month, and maybe 4, I guess, on average, but every Saturday, but some Fridays, the occasional Sunday. And I think it's going to be opening up. It's going to be weird. It's going to be, have to wait and see what happens. I mean, mask, got to be doing mask. And I've actually even heard some venues are going to require you to have a vaccination card. And I don't know if, how that's going to roll. I mean, I've got mine, but I mean, I don't know how that's going to roll. So yeah, it'll going forward, it's going to be a little weird.
Mhm.
But I'm looking forward to getting back out into the, hey, look, there's people in front of me, as opposed to a chat room on the streaming.
Yeah, I hear you on that big time. Yeah, it will definitely be interesting. And especially because like each county is kind of doing its own thing. Um, and then I'm also seeing a lot of private residency weddings because people don't want the rules.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple that I had booked, and that have changed from like Silverado, or changed from some of the wineries into, grandparents' backyard or friends' backyard because of that exact same thing. And again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. And
Mhm.
as long as everybody's, tries to be as safe as humanly possible. I've seen some pictures on the internet from DJs doing events, and I'm like, whoa, really? I mean, okay, so it'll be hopefully it won't kick into a whole nother second wave of the pandemic, but I think it'll be good. And people want to get back out, and as long as we
Yeah.
can do it safely, that's the main thing.
Yeah. It just made me think of like a shirt because I've had a clothing line. I'm like, dancing's good for your immune system. Like, I'm like, no,
Yeah, I mean,
dancing.
it's just I think that somebody, I saw a post on, I can't remember, maybe DJ idea sharing, and somebody said, people are wanting to get out, and they're wanting, so you can play, what do they say, you can play the worst song in the world and people will still dance to it because they're so antsy to get back out. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, I can play more George Thorogood and Jimmy Buffett, all right. Woo. But we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's really feeling refreshing knowing that there's gigs coming up and we are going to get back to work and like, I feel like this big push of, inspiration and motivation, energy, like I feel the shift happening because I mean, DJing is what lights me up big time. Like,
Yeah.
and so I'm just like already feeling the excitement for it. But yeah, it will be interesting. It's definitely been interesting that places in our country never shut down. I talked to DJs that never really shut down. So, it's here in California, it's been hard for a lot of DJs. And I think people are really ready to celebrate in whatever way. And just hoping and praying, it's all going to work out for the better for all of us.
Yeah. The one of the questions I've actually posed to a couple of guys that are actually huge streamers. I got one buddy that every Saturday night he starts streaming at 7 p.m. and he goes to at least 3 a.m. every Saturday night. DJ Ryan. And my question to some of these guys who are really, really gotten into the streaming thing is that once gigs open up and once we can be back out there, are you going to keep streaming? Will you keep that going? Some of these guys that are streaming, 4 or 5, 6 days a week, will you keep that up once events start coming back up? you know, I only have 2 main shows that I do. So I'm only Tuesday and Sunday. So it's not quite a big deal. I don't know, you know, it'll be interesting to see when events open back up, if the streaming world stays as popular as it is right now.
Yeah, totally. I think it won't go away. I think that there are some DJs. I feel like I've heard a DJ say like they just want to stream now. Like some have
Yeah.
made it so big streaming, they don't have to leave their house and they enjoy it. And maybe, you know, there are definitely um DJs that are introverts and that's kind of perfect for them, the streaming.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, and I see some guys, you know, they're streaming and they've got, you know, 150, 200 people in their room, and people are, you know, they're dropping biddies and they're, you know, getting subs and they're making good money. And, you know, I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, I guess maybe if I could make, you know, 5 grand a month, you know, streaming or whatever, you know, I might not want to leave my studio either.
Right.
But, you know, and again, the international aspect, I find that, you know, I don't usually play really late, but sometimes I'll play to 1 or 2 in the morning. And when I do, all of a sudden, you know, hey, my friends in South Africa, my friends in London, the internationals are waking up. People are like, oh, good morning. Yeah, I'm loving your jams. It's 2 o'clock in the morning where I'm at, but it's, you know, 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9 in the morning where they're at. And so it's that international stuff that, you know, is kind of neat. And I'll be sad if it does kind of stop and go away, because that's, you know, it's a neat aspect of the streaming world, of, you know, the global aspect of it is so cool.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've met Daryl Frater, but he invented an app called In the Club, and it's for streaming for DJs, and it's a platform for DJs, and he's got a lot of really cool things going on. I interviewed him, and we met on LinkedIn, which is kind of random, but I'm on all platforms, social media platforms, and I have yet to check out the app and stream on it yet because I have a little bit of internet issues where I'm at, but we're getting Starlink sometime this year. So hopefully we'll be like zooming. But yeah, I think it would be really cool because you could get discovered with some, you know, I want to travel the world. I want to DJ internationally. Like that's big dream of mine. And I'm fully confident that's going to happen at the right timing. And so through live streaming and making those connections, through interviewing, all the different ways that I find to connect with DJs around the world, I could see, you know, some crazy things, you know, being presented, opportunities from live streaming, and you never know who could tune into your live stream. That's what's so exciting about Twitch. And you know, people will be like knowing you, and you know, you don't know them. You're like, and then the Twitch names, you get these Twitch names. You're like, who is space 25 red orange? Like,
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, I got a buddy in New York, DJ Blast, and you know, he is one of the, I don't know, probably one of the best DJs as far as mixing and entertaining that I know. And he wants to travel. He's like you. He wants to travel around, and so the whole streaming thing is opening up that world for him. Now, there's a guy that's locally, well, Bay Area, DJ Twin Spin, and I don't want to use their real names. So I'll you just use the real Twin Spin. But you know, he is connected with, and he's making posts, and he's doing streaming international parties. He's like, yeah, I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I got this party I'm doing for, you know, a company in Dubai, you know. And I'm like, you know, wow, you know. And would that have happened without the whole streaming world? You know, who knows, you know. And if Twin Spin can do it, you know, you can do it, you know. Or, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, connecting with the right people at the right time.
yeah, absolutely. And then there's the other part is like, how bad do you really want it to, you know?
You know, I'm lazy, so I want it. I just don't want to. I'm just too lazy to go after it.
I'm a
You
little
know,
lazy too, but I still
well,
do
you
a
know,
lot.
my wife jokes. She goes, "I hate it when you say that because you're not. You do all this stuff and you're da 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 da." But you know, but then I look at people like you. You know, you're, I mean, like, you know, LinkedIn, and you're all over the social media, and you wrote the book and da 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 da. And yeah, I wrote some articles for DJ Times back in the day. I wrote some articles for Mobile Beat. But I mean, what have you done for me lately? You know, you can sort of find me on Instagram. You can sort of find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. But I mean, I'm just like, yeah, okay. You know, I've been doing on Twitch. I've kind of gotten almost, I say, a little niche where I'm doing a lot of these raid trains.
Yeah.
if you're familiar with it. And a lot of them are the European raid trains I've gotten in. And I mean, I did one on Saturday where there was 13 DJs on this raid train, but there was only 2 from the United States. And it was me and then a guy in Bakersfield.
That's so random.
Yeah, I know,
That's
I
so
know, I know.
awesome.
And you know, so you know, again, that international aspect, and if you want to play, you know, international, you want to do that kind of thing, and if you and you, so you've got a niche with reggae. Is that what I'm grabbing here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So see, that's the kind of thing that you need to jump on, because this is going to sound terrible. There's a lot of DJs and we all play the same thing, and you know, but we change it with our personalities or whatever. But if you've got a niche like a reggae niche, or one of my favorite DJs on Twitch, her name is Hate Meor, Hatemior. She's a goth DJ, and I was never much into goth music. I'm like, whatever, you know. But I don't know how I managed to find her, but what a showgirl, you know. And she constantly has a couple hundred people in her room, and you know, playing this music that, I mean, I could never play anywhere, you know. But I mean, people are loving her stuff, and you know, but she's got that goth DJ, goth, post punk, all these different terms I've never even heard of, and you know, it's great. And so as a reggae DJ, that's something like, yeah, there's not, you know, there. I mean, I can't even think of a specific reggae DJ. I'm trying to think. No, you know, so that's the kind of thing. Like, well, yeah, I'm a DJ too, but I have this niche of, you know, you want a reggae vibe. You want that's there we go. Bring me there. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
I got some fun feedback from some of the raids we've done collaborations on, like we did Women's Day. It was like they said that my music makes them feel like they're on a tropical vacation, and that's what I want, because I want to be on a tropical vacation. I want that vibe, and that's what helps me get through winter sometimes, is just playing that vibe of music. So my style has transformed. It always does, but reggae, dance hall, and then there's future dance hall, which is like EDM dance hall. And then there's a lot of crossover, and then there's Afrobeat, reggaeton, Latin, all with like dance music, some throwbacks, some Bay Area. That's kind of where I'm at. Try to mash all of that together. My style is forming. I'm finding it. And I think taking this year off and being challenged to do these collaborations online, live streaming, has helped me, because I'm like, how do I represent myself in 30 minutes? You know, this is where you're getting that freedom to do you.
Yeah. You need to look up DJ Jukes on Twitch, DJ JOOX, soca, reggae. The man is a madman. He is just amazing. DJ Jukes, and he's part of this crew called the Party Crew DJs, which actually I'm a part of too. And just amazing, that kind of you know, Caribbean island vibe. Really, really fun stuff. And probably a good guy to connect with too. So,
okay,
and he's, I think he's back east somewhere. I can't remember where Jukes actually is.
Cool.
But, yeah.
Cool. Well,
but again, you know, that's the whole thing about the streaming thing, is the opening up the world of all the other DJs.
Yeah, and then another thing, I'm not too ashamed to admit this, but you can actually Shazam while you're listening to Twitch on your phone. So I've Shazammed our songs, and it's helped me kind of grow my library, because there's so much music, and then why not knock two stones out at one time? You know, you're supporting other DJs and you're doing some music research.
No, I do the same thing. I'll be listening to somebody, I'm like, damn, that's a great song. You know, I got to get that song, you know, and I play videos with all my songs. So I kind of got to, you know, if a song's got a video, that's kind of what I'm looking at. The goth DJ, talk about playing off the wall stuff. She played this Village People song out of nowhere one day. She was playing this post-punk weird goth stuff, and all of a sudden she dropped this song by the Village People called Sex on the Phone. And it is so hilarious. I'm like, I got to get that song, you know. And now I've played it, you know, 8 or 9 times on my streams, and people are like, oh my god, this is so funny. But I saw it from, you know, a goth DJ of all places, you know. Totally. And that's like you say, you know, so you got your Shazam. I don't do, but I usually just ask, hey, what's this song, Who is this? Somebody tell me the name of this song or this artist, whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I go to Extendamix and try to find my song, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's great. My library is, like you say, my library is huge now,
Yeah.
much larger than it was before that. So
Mhm.
if there's one thing the pandemic has done worthwhile, I don't know how to put it, but it's opened up the world for the streaming DJs and the music and that kind of thing. It's been wonderful
Mhm.
for them.
Yeah, I think there's also a
That
little
would have never happened.
yeah, I think
Sorry.
there's like probably more unity in our DJ community, which I think is a beautiful thing. There's been more networking and support virtually and yeah.
I'm I'm thinking like when you go to the convention now, I mean, where, maybe, if you had gone to a convention, 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and especially your first one, and you kind of walk in and you're like, you know, no, yeah, I don't really know anybody kind of thing. Now, because of this, yeah, you walk in and, oh yeah, you're, da da da, and you're da 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 da, and you're, oh yeah, I saw you, you're da 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 da, and I think that's going to open up a whole world of respect and learning from other DJs. And it's just, the DJ world, obviously for both of us, has been, uh, a large part of our life for so long. It's just that's what we do. And my wife, who I've been married to for 29 years, I mean, she loves me, she gets it, but she still doesn't get it completely, because she's not a DJ. You know, those that's the convention. Oh my God, you're just gonna love the convention. It's just I've
Yeah.
missed them. I miss them so much. I've missed them so much.
Yeah. Um, I was just thinking DJs need to know DJs need DJs. Like you need to have a few DJs in your corner. Like every DJ needs a few DJs in your corner.
I've always been huge on networking in our area here. We have a really good group. I would say maybe of, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 DJs who are really close. And one of my close DJ buddies, DJ Ryan, and his wife Brooke, who they do a double team thing for their weddings. They're a great, and if for no other reason, if you're at a gig and all of a sudden something happens and you need an extra speaker, or you need, something happens, you can call up, Ryan, or you can call up Jeff, you can call up Phil, you can call up whoever, and hey, yeah, save my butt, or vice versa, you save their butt. It makes it so, worthwhile. I mean, even things like the American Disc Jockey Association, that's a great networking avenue too. Yeah, I like hanging out with DJs, and that's one of the things I have missed a little bit the last year or so. Um, you know, getting done with my gig at 11 o'clock at night and texting my buddies going, hey, who's doing what? You want to meet up at Denny's or whatever? Let's hook up. And you got 3 or 4 guys that'll sit there at Denny's after the gigs on a Saturday night and just talk DJ for 3 hours. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Another reason why I love doing these interviews. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And how is the best way that we can find you online and support you?
Well, my Facebook page is Chuck Lenhard, and that's LEHNHARD. It's pretty easy to find me on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm Chuck the DJ CA. I'm sorry. I was meant to say on Twitch, I am Chuck the DJ CA. And my shows are normally Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Sundays at 9 p.m. And I start Sunday nights I always start with Yacht Rock, and then I kind of go from there. Last night I went into the weird zone. We won't talk about that. Uh, this Tuesday I'm doing a thing where I'm doing a special Eagles tribute, where I'm playing the first hour of Eagles music, and then we'll go somewhere else after that. I have no idea what's happening. That actually is being hosted by DJ Head, so that might be a little scary for some people. So reaching out to me, just Facebook is probably the easiest way to reach me. Like I say, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter, Chuck the DJ, but you won't find me on there very often. Or just email me, that's fine too. So.
Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for tuning in.